Wonderful. So we welcome to the program Dr. C.L. Williams. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Good, no problem. Okay, so Lou says he saw something different. You are the founder, correct me if I'm incorrect, you're the founder of Xtreme Youth? Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
What is Xtreme Youth?
Well, Xtreme Youth is a nonprofit organization that focuses on the improvement and the development of social skills amongst young American adults that are here, not only in Virginia, but abroad, especially when it comes to intercultural relationships.
Okay, all right. Where did your passion for that come from?
It came from when I left here, going to Hawaii, had an ultimatum. A lot of young people. That's
where my niece and nephew are right now. What were you doing in Hawaii?
Yeah, Portsmouth. Yeah, left Portsmouth and went to Hawaii.
Why did you leave Portsmouth and go to Hawaii?
Because there were some situations that I had gotten myself into, and because I had never been incarcerated, I was given an opportunity to better myself.
Okay, that makes sense.
To go on the right track. You either go and take a program or something that's going to show the courts that you are not going to go back down this road, or we're just going to take care of you early.
But why Hawaii? Is that where you were told?
That's where they sent me.
Oh, okay.
That's where they sent me. When I went to the military, they sent me over to Hawaii, and once I got there, I had all other things on my mind as a young kid would have. And 6 months after I got there, I was approached by a young lady who was doing things for the youth, and she was doing it from a Christian perspective, and I wasn't saved at the time. And through her, I got saved. And then this passion to bring other people down the same journey that I went down, that they may have the same success. The reason I know it works is because I took that pathway first. And so a lot of times we come out of things and we do not take the opportunity to go back and say somebody else might benefit from my journey. And that's what we did.
Yeah. So tell us about the program. What is it? What's the mission of the program?
The ICS program is known as Intercultural Summit. What it does is it brings kids from all over the world together to help build their social skills, because the main thing in building social skills is to have a challenge. If I'm able to talk to people who talk my language, who behave like I behave, there is no challenge for me. There is no building or developing social activity. So what we do is, which was what happened to me, I was challenged socially, because in Hawaii there were not many African Americans there readily to give me a welcome. So I had to really cross the racial barrier to befriend other nationalities and other groups. And that's what birthed this International Cultural Summit, which I did in that pamphlet. I was 27 years old. They say I was 25, but I was 27 years old, and I did it with the country Samoa. And they came from Samoa to Hawaii, and we did it. One interesting thing about that was that the churches, they didn't think I was mature enough to do this. And one thing I want to caution a lot of youth leaders and a lot of pastors and a lot of churches, I'm not saying this, I'm saying it with respect. Let's not have an indirect arrogance about ourselves, because if these kids can run drug rings from here to New York City to California, don't belittle them when they get saved and make them think that they have to come through some kind of process, learning process, that some of us who hasn't been in those kind of situations have to come through. In essence, when I went to Hawaii at 19, they looked at me as a teenager.
Right, sure.
But they didn't know anything about me standing before the judge. They didn't know anything about me running drugs. They didn't know anything about. Or
even if they had, they still would say, you're 19.
You're 19. But really, what we say is, you're 19, but you're going on 30. You know, so it was a lot that a lot of these kids, they acquire, and we have to take that energy, and really, it takes people who have really been in that to understand that and to see that. We need to take that energy and focus that energy on something positive, and that's what the ICS program does, and it challenges them. If people believe in what you're doing and they see the integrity in what you're doing, people support. And that's how we have had great success in the financial department, in fulfilling our financial obligations is because of our integrity.
So the highlight of the program has been taking the trips to Hawaii. Do you have such a trip upcoming? I know you did one in the past. Is there one coming up?
Well, we did 09 and 2010. We're taking a break and we're bringing the students from Hawaii here.
Okay, tell us about that.
We're taking them to Washington, D.C., also to meet different political entities there. We have some entities that have signed on to meet the children, but we have to have a final number before we broadcast it and say this particular person is going to meet this particular person.
And how do you choose the children to be involved in the program?
Well, they choose us.
Okay.
That's the unique thing about it is we put our program out there, and what we do is we take the children and we explain to their parents, explain to them what the program is all about, and we allow them to choose. Because when you choose, then we make that demand that you succeed. But if we come get you, you don't know whether a child is doing it because they are made to do it. It's part of the school program. But when you put it out there and a child say, if I can only get out of the streets, if I can only have an opportunity, they always say that. But where I come from, the streets, if you ask them for opportunity and the opportunity presents itself, then you have to step up. And that's what we do. That's why we had so little publication and exposure to this program. It's been going on so long until Mr. Ward said, you need to just come on my show. And I wasn't big on coming on shows or, doing things like that because it wasn't about me, it's about these kids. He said, well, look, we can help you to get more help for these kids if you come on the show. So, I believe in his integrity, being around him several years, watching him operate in his newspaper. So we took the offer and we're glad we did.
Okay, so you have children both here in Portsmouth that you work with and all around the world? All around the world.
We're just getting ready this summer to open up Xtreme Youth in Florida.
Okay.
So we're currently here. We're currently in Hawaii, Pennsylvania, and Dallas, Texas.
Okay, now how did you choose those cities?
Those cities came from people who was a part of the program. It's just like you do. I'm just being honest. When you do drugs, you don't lose a customer. When they move away, you put them on payroll.
Okay.
In other words, we call it putting them on, whether it's payroll or not. That's what we don't do. We don't pass on the knowledge. We don't say that I'm going to give you this knowledge, not for you to keep, but to pass on. Each one teach one.
Sometimes people aren't open for knowledge too. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm serious.
That's a key point you make. That's the reason why we said we present ourselves and we allow them to choose.
So for parents that are sitting here watching this, if their children were to join your organization, what could they expect? What happens? What do you do? Attention
to details. Yeah. That's big. That's why we keep it small. If they're looking for large, 4th of July type of things, those things mask the real problem. You can't really take 200 kids and say you're going to mentor them because you're going to have at least 150 kids not paying attention to you. But just like we're sitting across this table, if you got 3 kids and you're talking to them, and you're explaining them, talking to them about business, what it takes to start business. And one key thing that I share with kids when we do our entrepreneur piece is that diversity is key. That's the key between localization and globalization.
Yeah.
But when you go global, you start dealing with people who don't talk like you, who don't do business like you, and you have to learn to sit around and negotiate.
Sure.
And that's a bad word for a lot of young people, negotiate. And that's what parents are having problems with in their homes. They're trying to negotiate when there shouldn't be no negotiations. Yeah. So that's what we do. We take them out of their comfort zone.
Rufus and Florine, they weren't negotiating.
Dr. Williams, I want to ask you this. Now, one reason is that I did invite you on the show because you're having a banquet.
Right.
And I asked you, how can the pastors or the people of Suffolk help you in your banquet, how to get tickets, how they can get involved?
Portsmouth, all over.
All over, especially in Suffolk, where they,
And it's going to be at Temple Bethel, July the 14th from 12 to 2, and that's going to be the official banquet where we welcome the students and the staff from Hawaii.
And how can they get a ticket?
The way they can get a ticket is going to 2011summit.org.
Okay.
And they can just, when they pay for the ticket, they just put Aloha Banquet, and the ticket will be mailed to them, and their receipt is the ticket, the actual ticket that they hold on to if they lose their ticket that we send, or if they don't get a ticket in time.
Right.
That receipt, they bring that email
Yeah.
showing that receipt
Sure.
of them paying, they get to come into the banquet.
What's going to happen at the banquet?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked that. We're going to have a whole lot of things. We're going to have a lot of different entertainment, and we're also going to have a big educational piece, because that's what we push. We're going to have different entities there, youth groups. We're going to have a lot of church groups there that are going to be talking about specific relationship issues and problems with our young people.
Excellent. How many people are you expecting?
Over 300 people.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
I mean, you can get a ticket now. Those people who come to that particular banquet, they're going to have an opportunity. One of them is going to have an opportunity to go with us 2012 for free.
Okay.
Now, that's between the students and the adults. That's going
Go
to be
with you to Hawaii.
to Hawaii. That's
Gotcha.
2012. And also that Saturday, we're going to end it with a major workshop that the city of Portsmouth is doing, the Yo Conference, and we're going to sponsor another student. So it's going to be 2 in all, one from the banquet and one at the workshop. Here's the key. You have to be a part of the festivities in the beginning. In other words, if you're not at that banquet, you're not eligible to go and put your name in for that drawing.
Is there a number? Assuming there's a number they can contact you?
Yes, 757-652-7720. That's 757-652-7720.
And when the young people are in Hawaii, what accommodations and what about chaperones and all that?
All of that will be taken care of when we do go to Hawaii. We have staff there that accommodate them. The whole University of Hawaii, where I went to school, they really do that piece over there. I go over there and I teach periodically. I do some stand-in teaching for them, and that's how the program really got accepted by the university. Being that I was an alumni, they liked the fact that one of their students, graduated students, bringing something back to the island. So they accommodate them with going to the cultural centers and all the festivities,
And
the
how long do
lodging.
the students stay over there?
7 days.
7 days.
And all of that is the airfare, the lodging, and all of that is included in the price.
Now, suppose there's people or companies listening that they can't come to the banquet, they can't go to Hawaii, they can't do whatever, but they say, well, you know what, I could write a check or I could donate or whatever. How would they do that?
They would do that by either calling that number, 757-652-7720, or they can go to 2011summit.org, and they can put in, where it says purpose, they can put in why they're giving that gift.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked that, is because the reason we are able to do this so low is because we do it at cost. It's non-profit, and we'll bring about the original intent of a non-profit.
So you're 501c3?
Right.
Okay.
It is not for profit. For instance, just for 30 seconds, if you take a kid over to Hawaii for 7 days, everything paid for $1,000. You say that you can do that for $1,000. The reason we can, that's not the cost,
right.
But if we can get it at that cost because of our integrity with the island. So what we do, we use our integrity and our business partnership, and we find out how much can we afford to bring each child over to Hawaii.
Gotcha.
If it's 1,000, then what we do is, when you're asking about donations and what other companies can do, if we get $5,000 worth, let's say $5,000 worth of donations, you take 20 kids over to Hawaii, that's $20,000.
Gotcha.
So when you get that 5,000, now you're taking 20 kids at 15.
Gotcha.
That lowers the price of you charging a kid $750.
Thank you for being a part of the show today. Lou, any final thoughts?
Well, I like for him to get involved. I think he does a good job, and for his kids, part of the next year, whatever he have to go to Hawaii, I think that's a great experience.